Here with Brewers first rounder Brock Wilken, who's taking a break from signing all those cards to talk to me real quick. So thank you for doing that. How deep into it are you right now? Is it about 15, 20%? You got a long way to go.
Yeah, I got a long way to go. I just started about 40 minutes ago, so I got a ways.
So we've talked to a couple of different guys here at the eBay and Onyx event. Some of them first rounders a couple years ago, so they've got their reps in. You're a newer first round pick. You're a little bit newer to the card signing game, but you've already got some under your belt.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like it's something that I always like to wonder, like, do you feel like it was more insanely encompassing than you thought before, or is it something that just becomes like autopilot for you?
Yeah, you sign the agreements for cards and X amount of cards. I got one that's 14,000. That doesn't sound that bad, and you're like, how many have I done? Only 850. Wow. But after a while, you just kind of get on autopilot and you start signing. It becomes easier.
The craziest concept to me, though, is I watch you guys, you sign a move, and meanwhile, the person who collects that card is like, oh my gosh, I pulled a Brock Wilken autograph, carefully placing it in the plastic.
Yeah.
Like, what has it been for you? Like, obviously, first round pick, 71 home runs in the ACC, tied the record. Like, we'll get into that. So, like, you've had some attention your way, but what's the idea of just people being so excited about your card and being able to be a part of events like this? Like, how has that been for you? And did that kind of take a few times to maybe set in a little bit?
Yeah, it definitely did. I think I kind of got that a little bit going into the end of last year, the end of our college season, because number one team in the country. It was me, Rhett. We had so many dudes down the line that were just, people were asking for autographs in Omaha, so you kind of got a little snippet over there, you know what I mean? Like, Omaha was the closest thing that you'll get to professional baseball. So for me to be one of those guys, it's pretty cool. You grow up and you have a ball and you want Bryce Harper and you want Mike Trout to sign these different cards, you know what I mean? So it's for me to be that person to some of those guys, it's pretty cool.
So let's talk about that year for you, because, you had already been on draft radars and obviously were putting up great numbers up to that point, but what seemed like really put you over the top and made you a first-round guy was basically doing what you were doing in the power department, like cutting down on the strikeouts, basically doing everything that scouts wanted to see from you. What was that process like for you? Was that something that clicked going into your draft year, or was it something that kind of got going as the season progressed? I noticed some subtle changes with your setup, a little bit more in the base, but nothing crazy in terms of altering anything. What was it that allowed you to, cut down on the strikeouts and really just make yourself a complete hitter?
Yeah, honestly, it's I'll never forget it. And it was one at bat against Chase Dollander in the fall. And it was a good at bat, but I ended up striking out. And I go back and I watch the film on it, and it was with 2 strikes, and it was a slider that was over the middle of the plate, and it just looked like I swung 110% at this pitch. And I'm like, dang, I didn't feel like I swung that hard. And so, I kind of saw what people were saying with the strikeouts and a bunch of that stuff. So for me, I kind of had to self-evaluate, you know what I mean? Self-evaluate and look back and kind of have a better 2-strike approach the rest of the year. And, with me, it wasn't a thing where I had to worry about trying to hit the ball out of the park with the power numbers. It kind of just comes a little bit naturally. So it was just having a better approach with 2 strikes really helped me, stay on my legs and stay to the bigger part of the field and win not only my whole at bat, but with 2 strikes.
Well, you mentioned with 2 strikes. So the other thing I noticed is that you did become a lot more selective in all counts.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that resulted in a lot more walks as well. And was that also kind of tied in with that, that moment that you talked about against Dollander? Was there also a little bit of an effort to, hey, guys aren't probably not going to want to pitch to me as much, and realizing that kind of allow you to be more selective?
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of both. You want to be aggressive early in the count, and then once start things going one way or the other is kind of when you have to back off or get more aggressive. So it's kind of one of those things, and hitting behind one of the best hitters in the country right now, and Nick Kurtz was pretty awesome, because it allowed me to not only get more pitches to hit, but also allowed me to walk more. So being able to hit behind a guy like that and being able to protect a guy like that, really helps you gain baseball knowledge and just makes you better as a player.
Did you feel like once you went to pro ball that it kind of switches back over again, though? Because, of course, you come with the respect. You're a first-round pick. You're a big guy. People know you can be, but anybody can beat anybody.
Exactly.
When you get to Pro Bowl,
Yep.
and they're going to go after you with their best stuff a little bit more maybe than they did in college. Did you feel like that was almost like taking you back a little bit, like a deer in headlights? It's like, I just made all this progress to be more selective, and now these guys are coming right after me. How did you kind of strike that balance? Because you still want to be selective and make those good swing decisions, but you also don't want to let a cookie go.
100%, 100%. That was one of the things, you kind of had to look at. It took me a couple games to realize, oh my gosh, I'm getting a lot of fastballs here, especially when they fall behind 2-0, 3-1. I don't have to sit on a breaking ball anymore. You know what I mean? I can attack that heater because they got good stuff. They're professional baseball players at a really high level, and they're going to go at you with their best pitch, and 95% of these guys, their best pitch is their heater. So being able to realize that and, again, self-evaluate of where I need to be and where I need to get to kind of helped me get back to that basis.
You mentioned the heater and guys having a lot of confidence. All these guys, it's mid-90s, it's vert, it's really hard to get on top of.
Oh, yeah.
Has that been the biggest adjustment for you, just kind of getting into professional baseball? Like, what was the thing that maybe you realized was the most different? You played in, obviously, one of the best teams in the country. ACC is loaded. You mentioned facing guys like Dolan. Like, you face plenty of talent, but now just making that adjustment and also getting to AA so quickly, like, what was the biggest alteration for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest alteration was, you get to the bullpen in some of those ACC weekend games, and their bullpen starts to weaken out after the first 2 or 3 guys. And you got to realize that in pro ball, they have all those guys. You know what I mean? Like, I'm facing in AA, I faced a couple guys that were weekend starters for Clemson, Wake Forest, Duke. You know what I mean? And now they're in the bullpen. It's like everyone's the Friday night closer, Friday night starter of every team, and they got 4 or 5 going each day. So I think that was the biggest adjustment, was realizing that everyone had plus pitches and plus counts with plus control, You
mentioned Nick Kurtz, kind of being that protection in the lineup, and I mean, that's the scariest combination of back-to-back power that you're going to find. And Kurtz, even with a loaded Wake Forest team right now, Kurtz is not seeing a lot to hit.
Yeah.
Have you been watching much? And there's a guy that's going to be one of the top picks in the draft. I mean, you look at the swing; it's so much fun to watch, but it's going to be frustrating a little bit for him to not get pitches to hit. Like, is that something that you've noticed? And what would you tell him if you were able to talk to him about it? But I'm sure you already have.
Yeah, definitely. I've kind of sent him a couple text messages here and there, but it's hard when you're not getting a lot of pitches to hit because you want to go up there and hit. You know what I mean? So it's like it's one of those things where you're so over aggressive, and then once you realize that you're so over aggressive, then you become passive, and then you start taking too many pitches, and then you strike out looking, and so it's a snowball, and it's a cat and mouse game that you always got to play. But for him, I think he's just got to stay within himself. Stay within himself. That's the best hitter I've ever played with. So for him to go out there and just do what he does, put no extra pressure on himself, and take his walks and take his barrels when he gets them. So I think if he does that, he'll be a good player.
Yeah, you can remind him, hey, they're going to go after you plenty when you come back over here on the pro side. But one of the last questions I wanted to ask you is on the defensive side. I mean, obviously one of the stronger arms in the minor leagues from third base, and just every time I check in, it feels like you're just getting more comfortable and more comfortable there. How's that process been for you, continuing to just get develop at third base, and what have been some focuses for you in terms of just honing in on the defense at the hot corner?
Yeah, honestly, it's my biggest strong suit in the off season. I constantly worked on that every day. Footwork was my biggest, kind of hammering my mobility so I could get more footwork and be more agile, and extending my range a little bit. So when I showed up to camp, a lot of the coaching staff was really impressed with how far I've come with a lot of my defensive work. So being able to just continue and grow confidence, and it is super important.
So how does a big guy like you kind of improve your footwork? What are some ways that you can really key in on that?
Honestly, I think the biggest was using ladders. Just kind of doing ladder drills and being kind of super athletic and trying to move like a 5'5" guy does. So that was kind of my biggest focal point throughout the offseason, was getting my footwork faster and just kind of being more agile.
Do you feel like that could result in some stolen bases as well?
Oh yeah, definitely got to sneak some bags.
I love it. I know what the new rule is. I mean,
you never know.
A quick first inning, you can sneak in. Like, 2030 sounds pretty good.
Hey, that sounds.
I wasn't going to undersell the power in 2020, but 2030 sounds really good.
2030 sounds great.
That would be really fun while playing good defense at third base. But it's been really fun to see you continue to progress. I guess the last question would be, you mentioned the defensive side of things, of course, but is there a specific area that you really want to see your game elevate? It could be something super specific, but what's something that you really want to see hit the next level in 2024?
Yeah, honestly, we kind of talked about it just now was the speed aspect. If I can get that up just a tad bit, I think that it continues to make me an all-around better player. Not only defensively but offensively and on the base pass, just to help the team win. So being able to do that is going to be awesome, but also continuing to get better on every aspect of the game every single day. You're there to win games, but you're also there to get better. So being able to do both of those things day in and day out is going to be really effective in 2024.
Well, looking forward to seeing you do that this year, man. Best of luck. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.